Aleks, it's so nice to finally be sitting here with you.
It's been a while, right?
It's been quite a while. We're in Whistler. We're going to have a snowball fight.
Didn't work out.
Whistler disappointed.
It did. But I had some good throws thinking about pegging you.
I believe it.
It was like right on questions, right when you're gonna ask, boom.
Right?
But it didn't end up happening.
Well, we'll set it up for next time.
Okay, done.
This time though, we gotta go all the way back.
Okay.
You are originally from Winnipeg.
Yes, I
Which
see
is
you
awesome.
wearing the jersey, which is very prideful.
You do what
Winnipeg.
you gotta do, yeah.
Love it.
Game last night, we won.
We won.
We beat Vegas.
I mean, they're #1 right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, that's huge. When you came to Vancouver, it was just as a stopover. You weren't planning on staying.
No, I was on my way to Los Angeles, and I was staying with some friends in Vancouver, and it was right around the time 9/11 happened, so it didn't end up, once I was making the moves to get my work visa, everything just kind of stopped, and I ended up saying, I'll stay here, and it was funny, because at that time, I kind of sold everything, didn't have a lot of money, and just trying to figure things out, and when I decided to stay at my friend's house, I didn't have enough money for rent. So I basically, and there was 2 other guys living in the apartment, and my job was to clean up after them, so because I didn't have enough money for rent, and they were filthy, just filthy, and I was like, I'm earning my keep right now, and but they were just generous enough to let me stay there for free for about 6 months.
Are you still friends with them now?
Yes, I am. Yeah, it worked out.
So leaving Winnipeg, obviously Winnipeg living standards, everything, it's cheaper there. So I can understand you coming here with not enough money for rent, and then to decide to do acting on top of that. Not exactly the most stable job when you're starting out.
No, it wasn't, but I just knew that, and I was a little late to the game because I played in a band for years, so I didn't start acting young. I discovered it late in my career, in my 30s, and I just decided to throw it all in the hat because I knew that there would be one day that I'm going to regret that I didn't try it. And I got into some great Vancouver classes right away. I went to Lyric, which is now Railtown, and just really kind of dove into the community here and accepted me very lovingly, and just kind of grew a career from here.
And you kind of had a one-up in the sense that there's a lot of boxing in your family.
Yeah.
And so you do your own stunts, which is huge in this industry.
To a certain extent. I'm not allowed to do all my own stunts, and Glenn Ennis, who is like one of the best stunt guys out there, just happened to look a little bit better than me, so he's my stunt double. But for fighting stuff, I like to do most of my own stuff, and to have that sort of a background, and especially the roles that I get, makes it that much more fun to be able to get there. And I mean, one of my breaks was when my best friend Tom O'Pennicott was starring in Battlestar Galactica, and he suggested to the creators of the show, because they were doing a boxing episode, and said, my friend is really good at boxing. Yeah, he would be great to choreograph this. So I ended up choreographing the whole boxing episode for Battlestar Galactica. And again, boxing was the way it kind of got me in there, and meeting the people, then ended up being on the show.
And I personally think everything happens for a reason. I think you sort of getting stuck, for lack of a better term, in Vancouver there's definitely a reason for that. You've been busy, I'd say, ever since.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, there was some lean years, obviously, in the beginning. I think we all go through some lean years, but I've been really fortunate to work quite a bit in this city, not only a part of some professional productions, but also indies, and just being involved in creating things from the beginning. So I've been really fortunate with the city.
We saw you in Battlestar Galactica. We've seen you in Numb, which is one of the indies that you speak of. You've done so much in this industry. I remember my first time personally seeing you was in iZombie.
Right.
Huge show. Did you expect it to take off the way it did?
I did. I actually told those guys when we shot the first season, I was like, you have no idea how your lives are going to change, because this is such a great show. This isn't going anywhere. And Raul and those guys, and they obviously they were crossing their fingers and they believed in the show. But from the get-go, I knew that show was going to take off. And they're still dear friends of mine, and I love their success of the show.
And you've done Kindergarten Cop 2 since then, which is awesome.
Yeah. I know, being a part of a franchise like that, because I was a huge fan of the first one. And so being in the second was just a blast. It was a blast.
It's honestly, as messed up as it sounds, when I was a kid, that was like my favorite movie, the first one.
Yeah, same with me. So even just getting the audition and the offer for it, it wasn't even about the script. It was about being a part of that franchise, and it was great. And Dolph Lundgren, I got to meet somebody who was in Rocky. So for me, again, a boxing connection. So I had a blast.
And then let's jump to sort of a Winnipeg connection, in the sense that in War for the Planet of the Apes, not only do you play an amazing ape, but his name's Winter.
Yeah, perfect for Winnipeg. I mean, that to me, again, being a part of a franchise, and that is like the most epic franchise. And I was a fan of the first ones that came out. For me, you know, storytelling, I really noticed storytelling as a child when I watched that film, when at the end of the first one where you see the Statue of Liberty, and then you start to piece everything together, and that's when I was really like, that's telling a story. And so Planet of the Apes affected me right from the get-go, and to then have an opportunity to audition, I was happy with just the audition. I was telling people I just got an audition. And then when it kind of grew into 3 and 4 or 5 auditions and callbacks to finally getting it, it was surreal. And then obviously working on the film was something that I don't think I'll ever forget, just because of the history that I've already had with the film being such a huge impact on me, the franchise, and then being part of the final installment was great.
Take us through what it's like to become an ape. What are those classes like?
Well, we did a month of ape camp, which was super cool, and immediately you think the physicality. But the first week and a half, we did emotionality work, because it was about getting rid of your insecurities and your indications, and probably the little tricks that you get when you start in acting, and you know that you can, do little shortcuts to get to certain emotions. But this was stripping away everything and just being. So the first week and a half of just being, and Terry Nordy, who taught us the movement and the emotionality, was literally, he could see it in a heartbeat when you're trying to do a performance and then just trying to take it on. And he would just tell you to go sit down and find your center again, and you're like, oh man, how did he see that? And then once you've gotten the basis, like, I think it's like any other sport, you do the basics, you do the fundamentals, and then you can create around it. And that's what he was trying to get us to do, is just make sure we have the basics and the fundamentals of what a primate is about, and then we can create the character on top of that.
And watching it, even knowing it was you, as I went into this movie, I mean, obviously, because I love Winnipeg, I loved the fact that his name was Winter. He was white as snow. Yeah. He was this great character. But not knowing any of his background, where he was coming from, I didn't know that I'd love him so much as a character.
Yeah.
He's so emotional. Your emotions really showed through, and he struggles through the movie. And you just want to reach through the screen and give this ape a hug. Right. That's not a normal thing to want. So how did you portray that? How did you get that across?
Well, it was interesting, because even the audition process, there was a few characters that they were trying everyone out with, and so I was auditioning for one of the other characters, actually a couple of other characters. But when Winter came, I was like, this is the one that I want, because I love the idea of the internal struggle and this fear that overcame him so deeply, and the regret that overcame him. There's so many peaks and valleys in his ride of making decisions. There was no snap judgments, and then him having to live with that, and him knowing intuitively deep down, this is a bad decision, but I need to save myself, but I know this is a bad decision, but hopefully it turns out well. Like, that whole kind of process to me was just something really beautiful, and I don't get to do a lot as an actor, and I was really fortunate that they allowed me the role that I wanted.
And again, it's a little bit like what we were talking about earlier. It's sort of like, he's trying to please everybody, but he's doing the right thing for himself. Yeah,
he thinks he's doing the right thing for himself, and then when it turns around and he sees the hurt that he's caused and how badly it hurts him, that happened. That to me was a great opportunity to show and play.
I think he was really important in the movie, and I honestly loved what you did with him.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It doesn't stop there. You've been super busy ever since. Trips to New York to see the premiere, trips all over the place, but of course filming as well. You've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. I'm not sure what you're allowed to talk about, but I want to touch on, if you can. You're in a new short to do with Arun Fryer.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that if you can.
Wow, yeah, we haven't talked about that in a while. Cadence Cargo, I think it's called now. I'm excited about it because it's literally one of those amazing visions of Bobby Bala put together this amazing project and the vision of what he really wanted to do with it, and I think they pulled it off. I think we have something really cool and interesting. I still haven't seen it yet. I've seen a couple stills of what it's going to look like, and I'm excited about it.
And you know what I love is you look at the cast list, and it's Vancouver. Yeah. It's Vancouver people. It's Omari Newton. Yeah. It's got you. It's got Arun's wife, Anna. Yeah. It's incredible how everybody comes together to make these movies a reality. I
mean, you see it on the page, but for me, a lot of things that snap out are Arun and Anna that are a part of it, who I know. And Omari, and it kind of settles into the fact of these are extremely talented people that I want to work with, along with the project. So it's more of an influence on me, who's going to be a part of it, what journey am I going to go on for the next year, and who am I going to go in the battle with, and these are the people I would want to do it with. And so the project is always a bonus for me. It's usually mostly the experience. And somebody asked me the other day about, do you like watching things that you're in, and I do, because it brings back memories. I try to find as many good experiences through a film, and then even if they're bad experiences, but I get sent back to those memories as opposed to watching just what the film is. So it's a different experience for you than it would be for me, because I'm just remembering experiences as opposed to following along with the project.
It's got to be like looking back at a picture, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so and usually when you look back at the picture, you're not looking at the picture. You're remembering that feeling right beforehand and right after, and so that's what I feel like. Why I enjoy watching things that I'm in. I just remembering the relationships.
That's so cool. And what journey is next for you?
Well, we're hoping to get a season 3 for Van Helsing, which we're really excited about, and I have a film with Keanu Reeves coming out in a few months, and with Liam Neeson coming out in a few months. So there's some really cool stuff coming up, and stuff that I can't talk about, but I can't wait to.
One of those was filmed in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, the Siberia, it's called, filmed in Winnipeg and St. Petersburg, Russia.
So crazy.
Yeah.
What's it like to go back there to film in your hometown?
I love it. That was the second time I did a film called A Sordid Wedding with Whoopi Goldberg and Caroline Ray. And Caroline and I worked on a film together. We became friends, and she said she was shooting in Winnipeg. I was like, I need to come. I'm in. And so that to me was such a great experience, because I love going back home. It's where I started my career. One of the coolest things is Rick Skeen, who's the stunt coordinator there, who also teaches at the University of Winnipeg. They're basically the only stunt community in Winnipeg, the Skeens. And so when I started, they were just kids. He had 2 boys, and now they're stunt coordinating. So the last film that I did with Keanu, one of their sons was a stunt coordinator, and it came full circle. And it was quite emotional, because I watched these guys grow up, and they've grown to be very talented stunt coordinators.
So cool. And Van Helsing, that took off.
Yeah, I love being a part of Van Helsing, and the journey that Neil Abute and Simon Barry put me on, and kind of entrusted me with the character of Julius and let me kind of roll with it is one of the best things I've done in my career, just because of being a part of it from the ground up and from the people that I know, and being such a huge fan of Neil Abute's work, and getting to kind of hang out and kind of talk to him about character, and the big circle that Julius has done in the last couple years. I'm excited to see what's next.
You know what I love is your passion for it and your love for it. It's not like when a project finishes, that's it, it's done, on to the next. Right. You stay down to earth, you stay humble, and you love what you do, which is, it's amazing. So thank you for that.
Thank you for noticing. I mean, especially being a part of the Whistler Film Festival, you get to see so many projects that are growing and could possibly be in, because they nurture so many independent ideas, and just seeing Whistler and what they do with the community and how they help the community and how the community supports it. That's the kind of reason. That's why I love going to these type of things, especially the Whistler Festival, because you just get to see that it's not just about the film being shot now. It's about nurturing and growing the community, and I'm a big fan of that.
And then films aside, you get to go skiing.
I get to go skiing. Yes.
Which is why I'm not going to hold you for much longer.
Yes.
But I am going to ask you.
Back on the hill.
That's right. But I am going to ask you about your socks.
My socks.
Yes.
I usually have really cool socks. Right now, I've got the warm socks.
That's smart.
But and I have the different color, like the different kind of animal socks. Mm-hmm. But when you bust a toe in one, and so I mix and match now as opposed to throwing it away.
Good. I like that.
Mixing and match is the way to go.
It is.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
in. Yeah.
I've searched high and low for the perfect pair of socks for you. I haven't found them yet, but when I do, I will find.
I can't wait to get these perfect socks.
I'm looking for just the right pair for you.
Perfect. Love it.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you, love.
Of course.